I like covering you. I respect your game. I like watching you play. Really didn't like watching your predecessor. So I really appreciate what you do. And I think for whatever reason, the conversation about you has taken on a bigger life than the conversation about whether the team's going to win the Super Bowl. Everyone wants to talk about it, whether you get enough credit. And I think you feed into it a little bit. You don't need credit. Stop trying to prove that you're a gunslinger, because that's the thing that's going to end this season early. You can prove that down the line. But let me remind you of a stat, Brock. Even though you want to prove that you can layer throws into the intermediate area of the field, tight window throws, over linebackers, over the meadow, through the woods to grandmother's house, the ball goes. Yeah, you can do that. But you also get pretty lucky with some of these drop picks. And when you throw one interception in the game, at least one, this team, this juggernaut, is 2-4. When you don't throw a pick in a game, they're 11-0. So your job in this game, Brock, is to not lose it. I know you want to prove that you can be a factor in winning the game, that you're part of the engine and not just the caboose. Your job against the Lions is to not lose the game. Because if you do lose the game, people are going to look at you differently. You haven't won an NFC Championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo did. He won his first one. If the Niners lose and you throw a pick or two, people are going to be talking about, hey, is Kirk Cousins coming to this team next year? Don't give the 49ers or anyone a reason to look at you differently. All you have to do is be safe. And so here's what's going to happen. The Lions have done their homework. They know, everyone knows what you do. You say it. You're a gunslinger. You push the ball down the field, that intermediate area of the field, 10 to 20 yards down the field, sideline to sideline. You dominate that area. That's your happy zone. It's your happy place. 10 to 20 yards down the field. And so if teams try to pack the underneath area of the field, that's not a good idea. You got to take away that 10 to 20 yard area for you. And that's what the Lions are going to try to do. They're going to put a whole lot of defenders in that 10 to 20 yard range and just bank on you forcing passes in there, because you did against the Packers. And you talked about it this week that really you were overly aggressive and that you have to hit the check down. So that's the truth, Brock. It's good to hear you say the right thing. You understand what you did wrong and what you need to do, but then you go out there and do it anyway because you have a little bit of a Napoleonic complex. No offense. But it's like you heard people call you a dink and dunk quarterback and it offended you, and you're trying to prove that that's not who you are. You have to channel your inner dink and dunker in this game. Now, the Lions, as you know, Brock, are very susceptible to the long pass. So on play action, you need to look to take those shots down the field deep. You saw what Mike Evans did against Detroit. Brandon Ayuk is even better. So Brandon Ayuk should have big gains down the sideline. A few. Take those shots. If it's not there, you check the ball down. Your progression is deep to short. Don't force passes in the intermediate area. The Lions are waiting for it. Everyone's waiting for it. If it's wide open, sure. But if there's a bunch of zone defenders there just waiting, check it down. Check it down. If the deep shot is available, take it. If not, check it down. You'll win this game checking the ball down. You can hit 3 or 4 shots down the field, and as long as you're disciplined and conservative and you check the ball down to Christian McCaffrey and Debo, you'll win. You won't throw a pick, you'll win. That's your job. Look at me, Brock. Check it down. This is not the game for you to show everyone that you can layer passes 15 yards downfield. We know you can. Check it down. That's your job. If you don't, if you have one of these interceptions like the first one against Baltimore in the end zone, or the one that should have been a pick six against Green Bay, everyone's going to blame you for the loss. Because even though people have been gassing you up, calling you an MVP candidate, everyone knows your job is to not lose the game. And if the Niners lose to the Lions, you probably will be the biggest reason why. If the Niners lose to the Lions, you probably will throw an interception. I can't see a world where the Niners lose this game and you play a clean game with no picks, no turnovers. Only way an underdog like the Lions, 7.5-point dog on the road wins is if you mess up. And the only way you mess up is if you're overly aggressive. And you talked about it this week, Brock. You talked about it on Wednesday. You talked about it on Friday. You said you were overly aggressive against the Packers, and it took you the whole game to sort of settle down and do your job. Okay. Well, it's good to hear you say it. Now you have to actually do it for the whole game. You come out amped up. You threw a pick on the first possession against the Ravens, and you should have thrown a pick on the third pass of the game against the Packers. Calm down. Get yourself in the flow of the game. Hand off, check it down. Because again, this season isn't about you, Brock. It's not about whether you get enough respect or if you're a gunslinger or a game manager. It doesn't matter. All this season's about is whether you win the Super Bowl or not. If you win the Super Bowl, you'll be one of the youngest Super Bowl winning quarterbacks of all time. If you don't, if you lose the NFC Championship game, all offseason, people be questioning, is he really the guy? Because on the biggest stage, he didn't come through. He's great in the regular season, but does he choke? All those questions will come up. All you have to do is not throw a pick in this game. Check it the hell down, Brock. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you.